The Fed cut interest rates again today. Here's the headline, number 10. The Fed was divided. Not everybody wanted to do it. And of course, this is in the context of all sorts of things. The Supreme Court's hearing a case about whether the president can fire people on the Fed. There's the headline. This is from CNBC. Divided Fed approves third rate cut this year, sees slower pace ahead. And the Fed's trying to balance inflation with growth. And here's what the president said, even in the wake of getting what he wanted from the Fed about his least favorite Fed chair of all time, appointed by Donald Trump himself,
Yeah.
but he doesn't like him. Here he is, number 11, the president talking at the White House today about Chairman Powell.
So the market should go up, and we should keep driving it up and have it keep going up and let it be much, much bigger, much, much better. And, growth doesn't mean inflation. They're always afraid that, we have, and if there is inflation, that's okay, then we can slow it down. But we should be able to do a lot better than 3 and 4. We're scheduled to be at 4%, which is pretty amazing because we have a deadhead Fed hair. I mean, this guy, the head of the Federal Reserve is a stiff. And, you fight that. It's amazing. We fight that, and yet interest rates are going down, except with him, not too much. He did a rather, I would say, a rather small number that could have been doubled, at least doubled. And that's the other thing. I think the rates for the United States are always the lowest in the world, because without us, there is no world. Without this economy, there's no world. You could go to some of these wonderful countries that you think are so great. Well, one of the reasons they're great is...
I've seen enough, as they say. Brian, I want to ask you both the same question about the economy, because it continues to confound me. I don't want your answers. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. I don't want your answers to include any of the following: inflation, AI, consumer spending, or the stock market. Okay? What's most encouraging to you about the American economy right now, and what most worries you about the American economy right now? Again, I don't want to hear inflation's what worries you the most, and I don't want to hear what you're most encouraged by is AI, the stock market, or consumer spending. One of each. What worries you? What's encouraging to you?
I think what worries me is that you politicize, the president's politicized things like affordability, calling it a Democratic hoax. That really worries me, especially going into an election year. We know that people talk about and vote on kitchen table issues. That's what consumers want to see. And by the way, affordability is, like we were talking about earlier, is subjective. An elected official telling you what's affordable, or that something is affordable to you, or the economy right now is affordable, that's the hoax right there, is because that's not what people are currently suffering from. And
what's most encouraging you about the economy now, Brian?
I think things that are most encouraging to me is, and quite frankly, I don't think the Fed today, if you go back and look at the notes I did today, I went back and looked very quickly to the September notes, and he said some of the same things. So he said some of the same things about warning that there might not be another cut before the end of the year.
Just again, what's encouraging you in the economy right now?
I think that it's actually stronger than we think.
I think that what area is stronger? Just the overall growth rate?
I think the overall growth rate, the resiliency of the American people right now, with tariffs and everything else that they have on their backs, I think they're showing that they're still spending. They know that the federal interest rates are not tied to auto loans or home loans, but still they're out there spending. And I think that that's the reason why you don't see runaway inflation. It's coming down. So I'm encouraged by that.
All right. Todd Ricketts, what's most encouraging to you about the economy? What's most worrisome to you?
Yeah, I think actually we're in a pretty good spot right now, and I'm not going to point to anything really specific, but I think we're on a track for pretty good growth. I appreciate that the Fed chair has been slow to lower rates. I kind of grew up in finance and financial services, and always have this opinion that you should be quick to raise rates and slow to lower them, and you always want to have like a little bit of a cushion. The president is a real estate guy. So the best interest rate to a real estate guy is always 0. But to someone in the world of finance, I think that 3 to 4% rate at the Fed is actually a good one. you want to always balance. I know you said don't say inflation, but you got to balance inflation and jobs. But you always want to have that little cushion. So if you do have a crisis and you need to dramatically lower rates to kind of like goose the economy, you have that lever. So I feel like Powell's doing a fine job. I think we're in a good spot right now. I think lowering was the right thing, and I think earlier in the year he did the right thing not doing anything. But as Brian said, every time Powell talks, he says we're lowering rates, but we're never going to do it again.
Right.
And he kind of has the same talking points every time he does it. But I'm encouraged. I think we're going to have a strong year in 26 from an economic point of view. There's going to be a little bit of a readjustment as these trade deals come together, as to whether or not are these tariffs going to remain in place, or are we going to come up with a trade deal that brings some manufacturing onshore, and how quickly can that do that, and how quickly can that happen? And like the thing that I'm most discouraged about, and this isn't new, this is something that we should always be obsessing about, is that I feel like in the media and on the news that we worry about like the Elon Musk and the rich people in our society, like the 0.0001 percenters. We shouldn't worry about those people at all. They're fine. They're getting rich. It doesn't matter. What we should always be obsessing about is the bottom 50%, because if you look at our economy, I think, don't quote me on these stats, but they're roundaboutish. The 10% wealthiest people in this country own 80% of the publicly traded stocks. And the next 40% own the other 20%. And everybody below the 50th percentile in household income doesn't have any exposure to the stock market.
Right.
And if you don't have exposure to the stock market and you have a little bit of inflation, you're getting crushed. If you have exposure to the stock market generally tracks well ahead of that. So you're doing fine. So we as a society and as a country should always be obsessing about where the bottom 50% are. Are they getting ahead? Is their quality of life improving? Can they afford a house with a 2-income household if they're making less than $100,000? That should be the focus of everything we talk about all the time, because I feel like a lot of the other issues you hear, whether when you see protests in the streets or Black Lives Matter or whatever these things are, that is an expression of frustration coming out of that bottom 50%. And so if we don't focus on the bottom 50%, we're going to have a lot more issues that are going to come out of that really are going to be driven by people's frustration about their inability to get ahead.
Well said, and I'll just say the Ricketts family has contributed a lot in this country in a lot of different ways, but to have that point of view is something, when I've talked to other members of your family, that's really admirable to frame things that way, so thank you for that. CozyEarth.com is still, but it's running out, 40% off all the products on the website. Just use the promo code two-way. Give the gift of luxury, affordable right now, the bamboo sheets. Better sleep, the bubble cuddle blanket. Leave yourself in luxury with the bubble cuddle blanket. Keep it away from your dog because you'll never get it back. Dogs love the bubble cuddle blanket. I don't know why exactly. The pants are, of course, epic. Once again, I'll tell you, you can wear the pants anywhere. You can wear them to the beach. You can wear them to a cocktail party. If you're someone who goes to cocktail parties, I don't know anybody like that. Wear them anywhere. They're super comfortable. You can sleep in them because I've done that too. Go to CozyEarth.com right now. Use the promo code two-way to get 40% off. This is ending soon. I can't tell you exactly when it's ending, in 2 days. So go right now, 40% off, CozyEarth.com. Give the gift of comfort that lasts beyond the holidays, carries you well into the new year in a cozy fashion. Again, CozyEarth.com, promo code two-way. They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America. And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and two-way tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.